Oh, Pat.
Getting it figured out, man.
Sir.
Step by step.
Hey, we are live. Let us know if you can hear us. We're a little bit late. Sorry, Pat. Our producer was struggling with the settings. We just had a little hiccup, but here we are. Let us know in the comment section down below if you can hear us, if you can see us, and that's where we're gonna stop.
They cannot smell us, which
You cannot
probably is a good
smell
thing.
us. You can't touch us because that's not.
That would be crossing the line. That would be crossing the line for sure.
All right, so let me start doing some sharing.
Do the same on my end here. To the people. To the people.
How do you copy the link? Let's see. Share. All right, sharing a group. All right, let us know in the comment section if you can hear us, also where you're joining from today. That would be amazing. Where we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I would be interested in knowing where everybody's joining from. I don't think we ask that very often, do we?
No, we don't. It's because I'm a bad host. Yeah, that'd be kind of important. Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to the Agent Lead Source podcast. Today's topic is going to be amazing. As soon as we get broadcasted everywhere where we need to be.
By the way, speaking of broadcasting everywhere we need to be, Jaime, where are we? Where is the podcast these days? Like what locations can people access?
The Agent Lead Source podcast is going to be found everywhere. It's going to be found on the Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, basically everywhere at this point. We've gotten approved through every directory out there. So we're on a roll. If you're interested in joining the movement, I would highly encourage it. But also, if you would help us out tremendously by doing an amazing 5-star review on Apple Podcast, that is going to help out tremendously. That really does help push us through the what they call the algorithm and helps it be shared with more people as suggested.
Awesome. All right. So today's topic, Jaime, is leveraging virtual assistants to scale your time.
Yes,
Angel,
yes, yes, yes.
Jesus.
Let's see. Where are we? Did you put it in the messenger, Joseph?
I'm on it now.
Okay, I put it in the new real estate agents group. By the way, the new real estate agents group, if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you are listening to it on the YouTube channel, wherever you're listening to, join that group, the new real estate agents group. That is a fantastic group. There's just so much valuable information that's being shared on there when it comes to advertising, marketing, negotiation, information about what's going on in the industry. That's just a great follow. The creator, Jennifer, has done a great job cultivating that group, by the way. And she didn't even pay us to say that.
She did not. And if you want to compare your commission to somebody else's out there in the world, you can definitely learn about.
And just like that, she will never pay us to say that. Thanks, Joseph.
Hey, I just say the truth. I can't help it, man. I
All
can't help it.
right. So, Jennifer, I tried leveraging virtual assistants to scale your time. So, well, that is our topic today. But first, let's introduce ourselves. My name is Jaime Resendez. I'm coming to you from the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Texas. And we have Joseph Gonzalez all across the world in Singapore. Joseph,
What's
tell us
up?
what time it is and what's going on in your world.
What is up, everybody? It is currently 10:20 p.m., 82 degrees, which is actually fairly cool for Singapore. And I have this call with you this evening, and then I'm actually getting up in the morning and I'm interviewing about 4 to 6 virtual assistants. So
Damn.
my life just continues rolling on without sleep, and we'll see whenever that ends. But for now, we'll keep it going.
Fantastic. Well, let's keep it going. Now that we still have you, that was a very anonymous threat. That's not how you say it. But anyway, that was a very that was foreshadowing to something, Joseph. I don't know what you were alluding to there.
It's a
But
long weekend of sleep is what I was trying to say.
oh, okay, good. So we're gonna push forward.
Yeah.
And our producer, Pat Patterson, he is doing a terrible job, but in spite of that, we are here.
Come on, Patty Pat.
All right, so let's jump right into it. Leveraging virtual assistants to scale your time. This is a fantastic topic that we wanted to cover for the longest time and really break it open because we have a master on the call and it's not the person speaking. It is actually Joseph Gonzalez. His business revolves around virtual assistants and he's doing it at a high level, at such a high level that he's actually helping real estate agents, real estate professionals all across the country and across the world at this point use virtual assistants effectively to close more business. Joseph, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I feel like that was a lot of praise. If you haven't figured out,
often. Doesn't come
I'm
around
not very
often.
good at accepting praise. So Jaime, first off, thank you very much for the praise. But yes, that's certainly what we do. We try to hire very effective VAs or virtual assistants. Some of them we categorize as ISAs. Those of you who don't know the difference, a virtual assistant is essentially somebody who does a specific role, or if you hire them as a personal virtual assistant, they do just about everything for you that they can do virtually. And then an ISA is typically utilized to do either text messaging or calling to follow with leads. But those are the two categories that we typically focus on.
That's
So
awesome.
To answer the question
awesome.
that you're...
No, that was it. That was our first question. What is a virtual assistant? Because we hear it all the time. We hear VAs, we hear different terminology or acronyms, but that's a great depiction of what they are. So what would you say is the most commonly used role? Is it an ISA? Is it a VA in real estate?
You know what? I think it's really hard to say. I think people started off with using virtual assistants to post content. So if you think about, let's think about the evolution of our business, right? What typically happens is you start off as a solo realtor or mortgage professional, and you're doing everything yourself. And you're like, okay, I want somebody else to do this. And then you're like, okay, that thing that they're doing is helping me leverage time, but it's not making me money. So then from posting content, it went to ISAs, which is calling leads. And then from there, now it's gone into what we do now. The main thing that we do is actually placing virtual assistants, right? So you want somebody that can do all of those things. They can call leads, they can post content, they can create Facebook ads, then they can follow up with leads effectively and set appointments for you, right? So there are levels to this entire process. It just depends on where you are as a professional, right? Because if you're early on, you may not have the budget to hire a placement, right? Because it's an upfront fee, because you have to charge upfront fee to be able to get them trained, unless you want to do all the training yourself, which typically most agents and loan officers don't have the time. One, two, not to knock them, they just don't have the skill set on training other people, right? Because that's why you become a broker, is so that you can train other people to do things, and most of them aren't ready to do that. So that's where we come into play, right? So hopefully, again, I hope that answers the question on what's the most commonly used. I think it starts off with content, and then from there it goes into phone calls, right? And then again, it continues to grow from there.
No, that answers it perfectly. And you're knocking out all of my questions, so I should probably just sit this one out. We were joking about this, that I was going to have such little to say today. While I use virtual assistants, I don't use them at a high level like you do. And I can fully acknowledge that. And as I say that, my Skype is blowing up because my ISA is right on cue messaging me. So let me quit that Skype real quick.
Jaime, get to work. Is that what they're telling you?
Yeah, basically it's what happens. They just like to bully me, but that's okay. That's okay.
Same for me. My virtual assistants know me better than I know myself, to be honest with you, which is a really good thing to have.
That's a really good thing. Well, speaking about the VAs and speaking about getting assistance, let's start off with, now that we understand what a virtual assistant is, what roles we didn't go too much into the roles, but that's something that we're going to cover here later on in the podcast. But let's talk about, where do we actually find VAs? Where can we source the additional help that we may need in our business, regardless of what it may be? There's a lot of roles, which we'll get into later on in the podcast, that can be shared by somebody else or be done by somebody else. But the question becomes, where can I find that help? Where would you suggest that the audience go to search that out?
Yeah, I think you have to think about what you're trying to accomplish, right? There are several firms that are out there. What you have to watch out is a lot of firms will charge you a monthly fee. If you think about, let's think about a contractor. A contractor typically is somebody who's not doing the work. They're the quote unquote middleman or the boss. They are charging a higher fee to get somebody to come do the work for you. Well, if you think about virtual assistant placement programs, very often they're going to charge you, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 sometimes for your virtual assistant to come work for you. They're going to train them. They're going to do all these things for you, which is fantastic. But then you have to think about the margins that they're making on top of that, right? So you have to be careful in what you're trying to accomplish. And so if you're okay with that and you have the money to do it, perfectly fine. For us, the way we look at the system is we charge an upfront fee. We still train as we normally would, but we're not going to charge you monthly on top of that, right? Once you get your virtual assistant hired, we typically hire them from the Philippines, by the way. We have a recruiting person that's there. They do all the recruiting, they do the vetting, and then they come to me for final interviews, right? If they're going to be at ISA, they come to me, then they go to JD, who's part of our team now. And then JD actually has conversations like he would have a phone conversation with them if he was a lead or if he was a real estate professional. And then, so from there, they become your employee and then you pay them monthly, right? So to answer your question in short, you can get a placement firm, right, that can charge you a monthly fee on top of whatever you're already paying, whatever they're paying the VA. So they would be paying the VA and you would be paying them, right? And then they'd make their margins as a company. Or you can come to somebody like us, and there are other people that are just like me, right, that are out there. I don't think they're as good as me, but that's very self-serving. But at the same time, I think that's a better scenario to be in because you might pay a little bit higher fee up front, but you're going to get somebody that's well trained, and you don't have that extra monthly fee. You're just paying your employee then at that point, right? Right. And then as far as location is concerned, we like virtual assistants from the Philippines. I don't know if we want to get into why. Do we want to talk about that now?
Well, actually, yes, let's get into that right now. But I think it's appropriate because you mentioned that you're the best, and I agree. No, so I really do sincerely agree. You heard it before the podcast, and that's something that we've talked about ad nauseum. But I want you to kind of share with us your program, because right now there's still a lot of intangible. We hear VAs. Yeah. And we can go through explanations and give the textbook answers, but I want agents to hear what an actual program looks like. Now, they're going to be spoiled because your program is different. So I've analyzed a lot of different programs. In yours, I hate to give you another compliment earlier on, but yours is the best one that I've seen. So can you walk us through what is your program? And if you're comfortable sharing numbers when it comes to cost, absolutely do it. Sure. If not, no worries. But can you walk us through your program? Because I think that's going to make it tangible for most people, as opposed to, oh, I need a VA because it sounds amazing, but where do I start?
Yeah. I think that's a common question, right? So what we typically do is we start people off with the first program. Our first program is a $98 per month Facebook creation program, right? In that program, we go in, we set up your ad, and then we manage your ad system for you. Basically, if it breaks, we go in and fix it. If you're not getting leads, we go in and take a look. So that's what the virtual assistant would be doing. So $98 a month, you get a virtual assistant that can go in and look at your ads, set up your ads for you, so you don't have to freak out about, oh my gosh, I got to learn all this information, right? So that's where most new agents start. They're like, I got to pay somebody, or I got to buy a course, and now I got to learn how to do this. Instead, we give them the course, and we have the virtual assistant set up the ad, right, for $98. You're not going to find that anywhere else. It's just not going to happen, right?
Wow. I just lost all my clients, Joseph, because I don't charge that.
And then the second part of that is, whenever we started this, we started with what we knew, right? And I think that's most businesses. Start with what you know and solve a problem. So the problem that we were seeing was we were teaching agents how to do organic marketing. We've had agents close up to $200,000 in a year from our organic marketing, right? That's a lot of money, right? But what we also saw was you make money, you get lazy, and not saying that our agents got lazy, but they got tired of the monotonous task of using Marketplace and having to filter through leads. So like, okay, we created a great problem, which is everybody getting too many leads and they're making money. But we also created a big problem, which is they're also getting too many leads and they have to filter them. So we said, let's add a virtual assistant into the system. I'll test them out myself first. I'll pay for everything. And then if it works, then we'll present it to our agents. So then we started presenting it to our agents. And then we started off at $199 for our loyalty agents that have been with us for 3+ years, right? And that's a lot of agents. And then we started increasing the price, obviously, because our costs went up, right? The more virtual assistants we hire, the higher our cost is. So we're up to $399 per month. So again, if you still think about that price, we still have, like, we have some people that are $499 too for extra stuff that we do. But if you think about that price compared to other companies that are out there and what we're able to accomplish, somebody that's posting for you on a weekly basis, somebody that's following up with your leads, and then somebody that's sending appointments for $399 or $499 is almost unbeatable, right? Like, they're creating the leads, they're filtering the leads, and they're giving you warm handoffs. Like they're pretty much an in-house assistant at that point, right? So those are the first two programs, and then the one we've added is now the ISA program. So our ISA program, we're competing with large companies that are out there. I'm not going to name any names that are out there, but I think a lot of you know who they are. Let's see. One of them rhymes with meteorology, but it has agent in front of it. We'll just leave it at that. Anyway, we're competing with these companies because our price compared to their price, most of them charge between $5 to $7 per lead. We charge a flat fee up to a certain amount of leads. We're typically looking at, we can generate on average between 100 to 500 leads a month, right? Our fee for that is $499, right? So if you look at that number compared to what other people are charging, let's say you generate 100 leads, that's $500. You generate 300 leads, that's $1,500 from another company, up to $2,100. We have a flat fee. We stay at that fee. They also don't create Facebook ads. We create Facebook ads for you, right? So the ISA team, the Facebook ads team and ISA team work together, create the ads, create the follow-up. The ISA then follows up with your leads. Once they follow up with your leads, they filter leads, and then they set appointments on your calendar. So for example, I think two of our agents that we looked at, and one of them was a loan officer, I think they had 15 and 20 plus appointments last month. One of them's a stud follow-up person. So once they have the VA do the initial follow-up, they do the follow-up as well, right? But that's just knowing your business and knowing what you're supposed to do. So answer your question in short, 3 different programs, $98, $399, $499. It depends on what you need. One of them is Facebook ads setup. Of course, your ad spend, $10 roughly per day. One of them is organic. You don't have any ad spend, but you do have Marketplace. And that's where the VA will actually go in. And then you have the ISA where we set up the Facebook ad and we have somebody follow up with your leads for you. So those are our 3 different programs, and they cost a heck of a lot less than anybody else out there right now.
And I want to pause there for a second and address the cost, because that is unheard of. When you told it to me, I thought you were dumb. I mean, I thought like you were not as intelligent as I thought you were. But there is, so no offense, Joseph, but that's
totally okay.
Offensive.
That's
just silly. That is unheard of. So I want to unpack that for a second, because let's just call it $500 on the high end. Not only do you have somebody out there, a professional, not just you trying to figure it out, a professional that's out there generating leads for you, like who's going to do that? For you get charged $5,000, $10,000, just depends on who you're actually talking to, that will promise you leads. And that's just on the actual service.
They don't even test your market, by the way, which we do first. So that's another thing to think about. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. There's that promise, right? Yeah. Whether it happens or doesn't, you just forked out that much. Plus there's a setup fee and all that fun stuff, because I've seen those. But not only do you have somebody generating leads for you, which is amazing in and of itself, but you have somebody actually following up with your leads. Because I mean, in my agency, I generate thousands of leads every single month. And 50%, I am sorry to say, but 50% of them go uncalled. All the automations that go through everything that we put in place, emails, text, and voicemail drops, and all that fun stuff, the actual person, the actual agent making the call, just doesn't happen.
Correct.
And everyone's good people, I guess, but it becomes, you get snowed under. You get snowed under with the 50 leads that came in one day, and then the next day and the next day. So it snowballs. So not only do you have somebody generating leads for you, but you also have somebody following up with your leads and actually setting up appointments. And this isn't just anybody off the street. This is somebody that is professional, a professional that has been fully vetted out and been trained by a professional, someone that has done it. So really the long-winded way of me saying, for $500, I challenge you to have an intern do that for you. I challenge you to have a family member to do that for you. I challenge you to go and find somebody that will do that at that price. So the way that I frame it, and then I'll stop this long rant. The way that I frame it is, for $500, somebody is working in my business, even if I'm not.
Correct.
It's just that simple. It's just that simple. So you spend $500 on a lot of other things, and everyone has their own budget, and everyone has their own whatever spending habits. But at the end of the day, if you can cut a check for $500 and have somebody working on your business that is being managed and really being held accountable, why wouldn't you do that? It just becomes a no-brainer. I think that you designing the program that way, that was incredibly awesome, really.
Yeah, and I think that by the way, thank you. I think as you think about this process and you talk about spending money, and you look at hiring an assistant in the US, you're let's say on the very bottom level, you're charging you have to pay $2,000 plus after 3 months you got to do insurance, right? Which is a whole nother can of worms. So you're talking for a fifth of the cost. You have somebody doing something that's trained in doing it, probably do it a lot better, right? And that follows up your leads within 2 minutes whenever they come in. Like that's crazy. By the way, I was talking with JD. So one thing that we're thinking about doing is actually dropping the price because of COVID-19 and everything that's happening, or you can bleep that out for YouTube. But with everything that's happening with the pandemic, we know that people's budget is fluctuating right now. So we said, anybody who signs up starting next month, what we'll do anybody that starts next month, we're going to drop our price to $3.99. Anybody who signs up for 3 months total, we'll actually drop it to $2.99. Again, that's lower than our virtual assistant program. So that's for ISA specifically, right? If you want somebody to set up your ads, call your leads, there's going to be a lot of people that probably send me a message later that do this game that I'm doing, right? That play this game that we're playing. They're gonna be like, dude, I hate you, because there's no way I can make a living doing that. And luckily for me, I run a very strong business, and we have a very strong team, and we've been in business for a long time, that we can do these things. Like the whole purpose of our business is to help other agents and loan officers, right? If we can, and if we can drop our price and we can still make a living doing that, maybe not as great as we were doing before, but at least we're able to help agents stay in business. And that's kind of the goal with dropping this price and getting people in. For $2.99 if you commit for 3 months, or $3.99 if you commit for month to month. That's crazy. Like there's nobody that can compete with us on that. I know that for a fact.
That's insane. That's insane. This podcast is not going to hit the airwaves. You're looking at me straight in the face, and you're putting me out of business. So sponsors, we are taking on sponsors for this podcast, because this became my sole revenue generator.
Send money to Jaime today.
I'll even take Zillow as a sponsor at this point. I don't care. I'll even take a CRM that I probably shouldn't go down that way, because we finally passed things over. Wow, that's awesome. That's powerful. Well, Joseph, let us know in the comment section down below, what questions do you have about virtual assistants? Let us know. We're all over the place. So I'm checking all the Facebook pages that we're on, and I'm checking on YouTube. Let us know what questions you have about the program or virtual assistants in general, as we transition into the what I call the Jaime people, the knuckleheads out there that no offense, but the people that will hear that program, and for whatever reason they're going to want to replicate it on their own, right?
Yeah.
that's how I am. I see something, I think, well, I can do that, right? So I can do it myself. So let's address that and provide some value in that regard of, well, how can you, let's just say you found your virtual assistant, whether
Sure.
you posted somewhere in, whether that's Craigslist Marketplace for the jobs, or went to the Fivers of the world, went to the online jobs.ph is also another one that I've seen. Upwork is another one that I've seen. So let's just say you went out there and you sourced yourself a virtual assistant or an ISA. Let's talk about how would you, if knowing what you know now, but if you had to replicate it in your own business, essentially starting over, Joseph, how would you go about training those ISAs and those virtual assistants integrated into your business? I think that'd be powerful for us to hear.
Yeah, I think that's probably the hardest part, right? So as we dive into this, hopefully I don't go over anybody's head whenever we discuss this, but that's the hardest part. I actually had to hire somebody to train me how to do it whenever I first started, because the daunting task of thinking about somebody who you've never met before coming into your business is very scary, right? So that's number one. Number two is then understanding systems and processes, right? Most real estate professionals, and they're like you and I, Jaime, who are just, at least I'm a self-proclaimed nerd, right? I want to know as much as I can about the inner workings of businesses. Most of them are not going to be business owners and dive into what a system really looks like, number one. Number two, they're not going to really even know how to run a business like this, right? So let's talk about how to do that. So, because I'm an open book. If you are going to hire a virtual assistant, the first thing that you need to do is you need to be able to have yourself figured out in regard to what you want them to be able to accomplish. You have to say, okay, here are the things in my business that I don't enjoy doing that I would like somebody else to do. Most of the time that's setting up Facebook ads, or maybe you enjoy that part. So then it's follow-up, right? So then you have to put a system in place that says, okay, this is step one in creating a Facebook ad. This is step two. This is step three. This is where you go. And it can't just be a video. It has to be written as well. Maybe even pictures, right? Because you have to be able to walk them through everything. And so now you say, okay, here's follow-up. Now I got to train this person in follow-up. So then you go, let's say you use something like Trello, right? And that's where you're going to use your documentation for your follow-up or setting up your system. So you're documenting everything there. And what typically happens is, because we've placed several virtual assistants now, right, that our agents have or loan officers have, it becomes daunting. They're like, hey, can you just train them on this? Because I don't have the time to, right? So basically what I'm telling you is it is very possible if you have the time to commit to it. You just have to know, what I would tell people to do is look at what an SOP is, standard operating procedures. If you can build out a standard operating procedure and you can hand it to somebody and it's part of what you want them to accomplish, you can hire a virtual assistant. Then that goes into a whole nother can of worms. What type of virtual assistant are you hiring? Have they been a virtual assistant before? Are they telling you the truth? How are you tracking them? Which that's another thing, right? We have certain trackers that we have. How are you paying them? Like all these things are things that I didn't know how to do before. And luckily I learned how to do them, and we've been doing it for actually, we just celebrated 1 year of running our virtual assistant program earlier this month, right? Our team posted a cake in our group, which is really cool. Anyway, to answer your question short, you can go hire a virtual assistant anywhere. I think the number one thing you're gonna have to learn how to do is create standard operating procedures, or SOPs. And once you know how to do that, then you can kind of get the ball rolling. But don't think that just because you hire one virtual assistant or two virtual assistants that they might leave in the middle of the day. They might quit. They might be like, I got things to do. I have a family. I don't want to work in your business, right? So there's a lot more behind the scenes, but hopefully I gave some people some direction there. SOPs are the first place to start. Learn what that is, and then you can kind of start getting your balls rolling and wheels turning on what to do next, right?
Perfect. No, that helps out a ton. That gives us a bit of, behind the scenes, peeking behind the scenes there. We have a question over here on YouTube. By the way, I rarely do this, i.e. I don't do this. The channel is about to hit 10,000 subscribers. And by the time that this is done, hopefully, we'll be at 10,000 subscribers. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're here, going over to the YouTube channel, just it's my name, Jaime Resendez. We're 3 subscribers away from 10.
What?
So if you would do that favor for me, and if you're in the podcast, just which will be up later on today, go ahead and hit that subscribe. That would be amazing. But there's this question on the YouTube channel. My main concern, this from Jose, my main concern is compliance with state real estate commission.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Joseph?
Yeah, I think you no matter what, you have to follow your board and your commission, right? State laws. There are certain questions that the virtual assistants are able to ask. There are certain questions they're not able to ask. There are a couple of things that I don't know if I should even say on this call, but there are ways to not ask questions, but to confirm information. We'll say that. And so to answer your question in short, Jose, follow your rules, follow your state laws. And as long as you're doing that, you'll be taken care of, right? Don't go out. A lot of people want to bend the rules, right? And that's whenever they get a slap on the hand. But if you're doing the right things and you know how to manage the system and work the system, you'll be okay in the long run, right? Like we've been doing this, not just this, but other things that we've worked in our business for a really long time. And I say long time in 2020 compared to when people used to stay in jobs for 20 years, right? For 4 to 5 years now. Really just whatever the rules are about people calling, or if you have virtual assistant doing posting, just follow whatever the rules are, right? And if you do that, you'll be perfectly fine.
And Jose, to add to that, most states already have rules on what can be asked. Actually, at this point, I would go on the line and say all states have that. That they'll let you know what can be done by an assistant, what can't be done by an assistant. So you just build from that. At the end of the day, regardless of what those are, having somebody else do everything on that list is savings in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because most of those are not it's I think the word is substantive conversations or something like that. That
now we're getting to the test.
What's that?
So now we're getting into the test.
Now we are. So I don't want to pass it again. So that's the thing. Looking and seeing what it actually says that you can do and can't do. That's one. But you can build out from that, within reason, just with some other things that you have going on in the background. Because of course they're not going to say, hey, post this on Facebook. Obviously not. But that's when you add to it. And then your inflow, so your inbound, that's when you can control at what point you step in, at what point you are going to have the conversation. Because at the, quite honestly, you actually want to have that conversation. Because at that point, you're going to trust your own closing skills. You're going to have your own negotiation skills. You're going to have your own way of presenting something that you won't feel comfortable offloading that to somebody else unless they're really fully, absolutely on the ball and are better than you. And at that point, they're better than you, then you better use them more than yourself if they're better than you. And that says more about you than anybody else.
Well, I got a secret for you, Jaime. Most virtual assistants or most ISAs are actually better than most agents.
Bam! Shots fired. I wish I had that sound effect. Bam, 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 bam.
And I'll tell you why. Because real estate agents and loan officers are typically worrying about 1,000 other things. So whenever I'm saying better, I mean like they're better at this specific thing that we're talking about. They're better at follow-up. They're better at getting to leads faster, right? Because a loan officer might be working on a file or be on a call with a client. A real estate agent might be at a showing, or they might be at a listing appointment, right? Well, that's why you hire a virtual assistant or an ISA to do these things that you're not able to get to immediately, right? And if you can do that, check your email, set up your Facebook ads, post content. Like these things, they're better at because they become things that you're like, I could do them. They could help my business, but you know what? I'd rather go do this listing, or I'm at this listing. There's no way I can get to that today. Or now I want to go eat dinner, or I'm going to eat lunch. I'm going to go meet Sally over at the barbershop and get my hair cut. Like during that time, that's when your virtual assistant is working, right? Doing all the things that you're not doing. So if I hurt anyone's feelings about, they're better at it, I'm just telling the truth. That's really the truth, right?
Joseph, at this point, I don't care about people's feelings because we just hit 10,000 subscribers on the channel.
Yay!
The Agent Lead Source podcast force is in full effect. Thank you so much for the community. 10,001 subscribers. So I was going to say one of you can unsubscribe, but I'm not going to say that so I could get the 10,000.
I want to take a picture.
But no, don't do that because then everyone's going to unsubscribe. Don't do it. So thank you. Thank you, by the way. Sorry to do such self-promotion there, but it's a pretty cool.
Very well deserved, Hyman. Very well deserved.
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years in the making. And that episode, the YouTube episode, that's I think 3 weeks from now. So we'll cover how to actually do that and be successful, not only from the growth of the channel, but more importantly, how you actually see results. Because subscribers doesn't really mean all that much. It's actually getting people to view your content, and there's 7 different ways to make money off of YouTube, and I'll gladly break that open when that time comes.
Awesome.
Joseph, what are some tasks that you can think of that an agent can let go of right now? What are some 2 or 3 tasks that agents should not be doing in their business if they value their business and their time?
Number 1, creating content on Instagram and Facebook. You shouldn't be doing that. Like you shouldn't be paying a company to do that, right? Number 1, because the company is just posting pictures and posting the same content to everybody's Facebook that they manage. So if there's 5,000 agents signed up for this one program, I won't drop the name, and they're posting beautiful pictures of houses, which I think the houses are gorgeous, indoor and outdoor. But they're doing the same thing. There's no call to action. So for you, even if you are paying for this content, I will still have your VA go in and recreate this content and then have call to actions like click here to see more houses in our area that look like this, or that have interiors like this, that have bathrooms like this, right? And then it goes to your website or goes to a landing page that has a list of homes, right? Most people don't think that. They think, oh, this company is going to post houses. It's going to keep people engaged. No, it's not. So posting content. The other thing would be following up with leads. I think that as we talk about virtual assistants, and what I learned was you don't have virtual assistants do things that aren't going to make you money. Because at the end of the day, you still have to pay them, which means it doesn't matter if it's a virtual assistant or assistant, period. They have to make you money to be able to keep them on because you have to pay them. So following up with leads is very key, right? Very key component. So let's say an agent, or let's call it a veteran agent, has over 10,000 leads sitting in their database. They could get the virtual assistant, and we talked to we have somebody that was getting a closing done, and then what happened, and they lost the deal. But they had them go back through their database, and within 30 days, they had somebody that was pre-approved and ready to buy a house, right? Unfortunately, the person lost their job because of everything that's going on. But point is, they did a reactivation campaign, right? And that's simply sending out text message saying, hey, we connected, a while back. You don't have to say a specific time. Hey, we connected a while back. Just want to get back in touch with you. You're looking at buying a house. Have you bought your home yet? That's all they would really have to send. Imagine a virtual assistant doing that to 10,000 leads, right? You're going to find out of 10,000, let's say your conversion rate is 1%. What's 1% of 10,000? I'm terrible at math. What's that?
100?
100. So you're going to have 100 possible buyers in that list of 10,000 people. That's on the low end of 1%. So if you can convert, or if you can get them to do that and people start talking back to you, look at what you can do in your business by having a virtual assistant do that. So anyway, the 2 things are creating content, posting content with call to action, and then following up with leads, right? Those are the first 2 things that I would have. And then I would write down myself the top 5 things that I hate doing every day, right? Things that I do every single day that I just don't enjoy doing: checking email, checking Facebook Messenger. Those are things that you can just write those things down and then say, hey, you know what? This is why I hired somebody to help me with this. That's their part of their job. And then I'll do my part of my job, which is XYZ. And then we work together to accomplish, higher goals.
Awesome. So I'm going to go some rapid fire unpacking what you just mentioned, just go some really molecular levels to really drive the point home when we're talking about social media posting. Let's say you have a group for home buyers or home sellers where you provide information.
Yeah.
Regardless of what group it is, you can have a virtual assistant continue to have the conversation, keep the conversation going, liking posts, replying posts to the post, sending them a direct message. Just that doesn't start. You don't start out that way, but that is you increase. So the first task is, hey, make sure that everybody that posts gets a like or gets a comment that's something as simple as thanks. And then you build into, once they get a little bit more comfortable and you have some pre-approved canned responses that they can send in Messenger, that's one way to get one of your assistants engaged. And that is very simple to do. They can use your profile or use their own. I've seen it done both ways and both are effective, but just have that that engagement from the group. Same thing with your personal profile. Even if you don't have a group, you can do the exact same thing. You can ask them to sort by your friends and make sure that every single quarter they receive a message that you pre-approve. Again, hey, how's it going? Something that simple. So that's one way that you can do some posting, if you will. If you don't go beyond that, that in and of itself is a great way to do it. If they have, and most of them do, by the way, if they have some graphic design skills, if they have some content creation skills, then leverage that. That. You're going to be surprised the amount of things that virtual assistants know. And it's a lot of very valuable qualities and skills that help grow businesses. Now, they're not going to make the business, but they will help it grow. So you can go and focus on the strategy. You can go and focus on the bigger things, but you have that comfort that for whatever the price is that you're paying, somebody's coming in on the back end and doing that. So that's just one way that you can engage. And when it comes to the follow-up on your leads, have them go into your CRM and go profile by profile, see where the conversation ended. And again, have a pre-approved message that you can send every single lead. That way, you don't have to do a complete broadcast to 10,000 leads unless you want to, but you're going to get more reception, more conversion by somebody that reads the notes of everything that's going on in your CRM. And they message. And most CRMs, like an example, KV Core, they're able to text from there. They don't need your phone number. You don't need to give them your obviously your phone, but they're able to do that from the CRM. So there's a lot of powerful software that is out there that can integrate with your business, and you just add people to it. So those are two examples that I'd like to give out to the people, really elaborating what you were covering there.
Yeah, I think you're right. Right, just having them dive in with these softwares, and you give them the login information. You can use a system like LastPass, which we teach how to use. Right, it's pretty simple. It costs like $3.99 a month. You give them login access, but you don't give them the password. Right, and then they can go in and do that stuff in KV Core or any other program that's out there that does it. I'd like to drop something that every show I got to give some type of fire, I guess. I don't know.
Every show you get is canceled. That's one. And then, which you already did, by the way. In every show you drop fire, so you cancel it out. I like that.
Yeah. It's I gotta give the headbutts here. So one of the posts that we have taught for years, and it's effective till this day. I guarantee you, anybody who's watching the show can go do this right now. Find a Facebook group that you're a part of. Hopefully they'll let you post this. I only suggest doing it in 1 to 3. Don't do it in any more. But what you want to do is you want to go in this group and say, who owns a local business? Drop your business page down below so we can support you. That's all you post. Who owns a local business? We want to support you. Drop your business link down below, or drop your Facebook page down below. You're going to have like 100, 200 people come in, right? So one of the questions always is, how do I grow my SOI? And I teach people this. And then they're like, oh, there's so many people to message. And you're like, bro, you asked me to grow your SOI. That's what I'm doing. All these people own local businesses. That's why it says local businesses. So you can reach out to them and have conversations with other human beings. That's why it's called the SOI, sphere of influence. These are people that you're trying to influence and help grow their business, and you grow your business. So anyway, that happens. And that's where virtual assistant comes in. Again, things that you don't enjoy doing. Yeah, you like getting the comments, but you don't like doing the follow-up. Right. So then your virtual assistant goes in and messages everybody, thanks for liking the page, here's my page, or thanks for commenting, I liked your page, here's my page, would appreciate it if you like my page. And then you take the conversation further. By the way, hey, if you're ever looking to buy real estate or know somebody that's looking to buy, blah, 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 right? And by doing that, you grow your SOI by 100, 200 people, get their contact information, get their email, put them on a newsletter, a drip, whatever, right? And there you go. And I guarantee you'll get a couple sales out of that.
Fire. Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? It's that's so good. That's so good. My mind immediately went into the next step.
Yeah.
Where you take that strategy right there. And that's actually one of the strategies that you deployed early on in the podcast, that we actually grew our notification squad, which is our Facebook Messenger group. Now that's independent of the actual group, which I'll pause right there to plug ourselves. The Agent Lead Source podcast group, join it. It's just the facebook.com/groups/the Agent Lead Source group. I don't know what it's called, but that's what it is. So check that out.
Agent Lead Source. Facebook search it.
There it is. So just search for it. Join us there. And if you want to be part of the notification squad, that we drop Facebook templates, we drop in SOPs, we drop in a lot of information that's going to help your business. Let us know, message us, and we'll take good care of you. Now, going on that strategy that you were just mentioning, you're, getting excitement, getting some commotion, getting people engaged, if you will, and increasing that sphere of influence. If you want to take it one step further, why not have the VA find their business page on Google and then give them a review?
Yeah.
Do that there. Do that at Yelp. Do that everywhere else. And if you want to take it one step further, why not have your VA, everybody that commented, go to that business page and go ahead and hit that like, but also put down on an Excel sheet their address. Yeah. Put their address, and then you send them a little thank you note, whatever it is, whatever your magnet. A lot of places have steel refrigerators that have a lot of steel places where they're going to put calendars and stuff. So as opposed to them seeing it at their home, what's funny? Sorry, I'm going to go on a random tangent. Whenever I go on listing appointments, it doesn't fail that I see on their fridge, like the homeowners, I see the magnet of other realtors.
Every time.
So that's clearly working, right? Why not just do that in the business instead? Sorry, that was a side tangent, but I remember listing a $500,000 house, and I remember seeing that. Anyway, random.
That's hilarious.
But bringing her back around, you are creating, I keep saying excitement, but you are creating a sphere of influence that you didn't have before. You have a lot of people on the sidelines in social media. They don't engage. They're the I'll like the button. But then when you pull them into the conversation, that's when you start growing. That's when you start building a relationship with people that they've been your friends since you joined in 2007, but never once did they comment, never once did they do X, Y, and Z until you made it about them.
Yeah. And we all have people like that, right? So yeah, I think just taking that step further, having your virtual assistant do something like that can grow your business exponentially. You just don't know that because that's not an idea that you brought out yet, right? So as people think and they listen to this podcast and watch the show, they'll start getting these ideas and they'll have them, but they won't ever take action. All right. And again, that's where virtual assistants come in, because virtual assistant, they don't need to hear the idea, conceptualize it, and then go, nah, I don't know. They're just like, give me the idea, show me how to do it. I'm going to go do it, because that's their job, right? And they're really good at it. So you give it to them and nothing else is going to get in the way of their job. They're not doing the paperwork. They're not looking at contracts. They're not going to showings and listing appointments. They're doing that job, right? So it makes it much easier for them to accomplish that goal, right?
Absolutely. And I'll give you a fire one, since Joseph's always bringing in fire. I'll do
something. Bring the fire, Jaime.
I'll bring it. I won't give you templates. I won't do any of that any longer. No, I will. By the way, congrats to all the winners that listen to this podcast. Not only that take action and get $700,000 listing in the last podcast that mentioned that 280,000. So there's a lot of success stories when it comes to that, and congrats to that. But there's also winners for naming the podcast, $50 a piece. Ruby and somebody else won that, and our Facebook ads winner, Benson. So yeah, there's a ton of people that not only get value from what we actually say, but direct financial gain as well. Yeah, but now coming to the fire as I build up the anticipation. So here's something that you can do, or have your VA do, which is very simple, and you're going to look like a rock star whenever you're listing a home. So check this out.
Boy.
Whenever you take on a listing, what happens? You put it on the MLS, it gets syndicated everywhere to the Zillows, the Trulias, the Realtor.coms of the world, and all of that is fantastic. Now, 90% of the agents stop there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that happens. Now, 95% of the agents, so the other 5%, the next 5%, what they'll do is they'll create a single property website, and that's fantastic. That is something that you can really showcase to your buyers, especially if you can create it before. It becomes a little bit difficult when it comes to pictures, but you can create that for a showpiece, something that you can show to your sellers, somebody that, that's part of your listing package. But if you take it one step further, that I think I've seen maybe 2 agents do in the past, that is creating an entire Facebook business page around the property. So here's what happens. When you create an entire Facebook business page, there is so much that you can do with that business page. You can create events around the business page. You can share that as a business page. You can comment as the business page. You can promote as the business page. And before I forget the promotion aspect, you do have to be structured correctly with your business manager and ad accounts and everything else. So I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but before you actually put some money behind that, just be aware that you need to be structured correctly so you don't get shut down. But when it comes to the business page, that is a great way to showcase another aspect of your social media or digital capabilities to your owner that nobody is doing. That is a way that you can showcase the property in a completely different light. You can make it all about the home because that's that business page is around it. So not only do you get the instant exposure, but here's the thing, you get the aftermath, you get the shrapnel that I call. After that property is sold, you don't have to take it down.
Yeah.
So people will continue liking it, which is weird, but they will continue liking it. They will continue asking about this. Hey, is this for sale? And you get that shrapnel, you get that aftermath of leads inquiring about the property.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, that's fantastic. And as you were talking about that, the next thing I thought, which is this is your realm, is then if your virtual assistant can do that, then they can also create a YouTube not channel, but a YouTube video specifically for that property as well, right? And then you just have a template that they go follow. Again, this is talking about having SOPs, right? Standard operating procedures. You have your VA go create a YouTube video specifically for that property. And you can even create a mock one in the beginning that says your house here, your info here, this is what it sounds like, or whatever have you, right? And then you say, this is what we would do. You have this business page that we're marketing on. We have this YouTube video that we're doing for you. Other agents just aren't doing that, right? And it takes, by having the virtual assistant do it, it takes off all this pressure of you going, oh, I got to go do this today. I want to get this $700,000 house listed, but I got to go do this YouTube video, right? Instead, you have your virtual assistant go do that. That's, again, having somebody in place to be able to help you do that, right?
And you hit the thing that's going to, and it stops me a lot of the times as well, when it comes to, you create all of these things, all of these items, all of these tasks that you want to do for a property. If that was your only property, okay, you could do it. But, ideally you're successful and you have more and more properties to do. But when you integrate somebody else into your business and you integrate some VAs, that tee you up in every single task, it becomes enjoyable instead of a daunting thing. Well, I have to go create that Facebook page. Oh, what did the other one look like? Oh, okay. That when you have somebody tee you up all the steps of the way, all you have to do is show up and perform. That becomes exciting. You become
Yeah.
the artist, you become the singer, you become the performer, you become the player,
Yeah.
as opposed to somebody that is having to do everything and then perform, do
Yeah.
everything else and then perform. So you just show up to the life events that you want to be a part of. And it
Yeah.
goes back full circle to what you were mentioning, Joseph. Line item, what you don't like doing. You get to design your life, especially, and most people don't realize that. You get to design your life, you get to design your business how you want.
Correct.
And it doesn't involve you paying somebody $60,000 a month to do it.
Yeah. 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 And the quality, if you do it right and you have a good VA, the quality of work that you can get from that is amazing. Like, I think one of our virtual assistant placement agents to close 3 deals, or has 3 deals closing. Another one of them that's not even a virtual assistant placement, they're just using the virtual assistant program, has another 3 deals closing. Right. So you talk, and these are part-time, one of them's full-time, one of them's part-time VA. And so you're talking about a part-time virtual assistant works roughly an hour, 2 hours a day in this agent's account, has 3 additional deals closing. It costs them,
Powerful.
I think, $4.99 or $3.99 a month. Right? Like, that's going to be paid for the rest of for the next 2 years, that virtual assistant will. And so that doesn't even include the extra deals that'll be happening, right? So, but people have to stick with these processes. They don't think about that. Like, you have to keep building and growing your business completely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Joseph, we're getting ready for the dismount. As we get ready for that dismount, though, because Pat keeps screaming in my ear. So everybody, Pat is our producer. He's the one that he tees everything up for us. He's the
Yeah,
one that
keeps it together.
look good. And gets us 15 minutes late whenever we are trying to start. But that's what do they call that? Performance review or whatever?
Yeah, in the quarter performance review, or we can do monthly if
Yeah.
we need to.
Yeah, we're gonna do it daily at this point with them. So as we get ready for the dismount, I wanted to start off with my closing thought, if you will, and then pass it off to you, which is taking that last point that you mentioned of people don't realize that you have to keep doing this.
Yeah.
There's that consistency. So to help people out with the consistency aspect of it, really highlighting the fact that you want to standardize and document.
Yes.
So don't make it designed to how you would essentially do it because you have certain ways of doing it, but standardize it to where somebody else can look at that, understand it, and implement it.
Yeah.
Just standardize it to where, all right, if I could just get this right without going the 110%, if I could just get this right, document it and have somebody else take ownership of that, that in and of itself is going to beat my 110% that I give out every other day.
Yeah.
100% of the time. I know I gave a lot of percentages there, but basically what I'm saying is standardize it to where you consider it done well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but where you consider it done well. Document that to where somebody can actually understand it, and just make sure that it gets done every I mean, we're joking about Pat's performance, but review that every week, every month, however long you want to, what metrics you have in place, what you want to actually look at, and then just continue going. So that's my parting thought from my end, Joseph.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. Like, if you can standardize it, you can get handed off. You want it to be so standardized that you can actually hand it to anybody that comes into your business. Your sister, your aunt, your uncle, even though they're probably not gonna have the work ethic. I don't know your aunts, uncles, and sisters, but you want to hand it off. Like, let's say a virtual assistant leaves because of whatever reason, you want to be able to hand it to another virtual assistant so they can do the work, right? One thing that I tell people is, if you want to learn how standard operating procedures work, just Google teacher planning, right? They have an objective, they have a goal, and then they have how that looks. That's one way to even start, like, kind of getting your mind to what standard operating procedures look like. You can also look up standard operating procedures but every company does it different. Apple does it different than Microsoft. Microsoft does it different than Dell. Dell does it different than HP. All these companies all have their, every company has standard operating procedures. They just do it differently. But I always tell people baseline is go look up teacher planning. And then from there, you have your objective, you have your goal, and then you have your steps. And that kind of gives you an idea of what SOPs should kind of look like. And then you have to go in and dive a bit deeper. But yeah, standardize it. And if you can hand it off to anybody and hopefully they can do it. Right.
Bam, 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 bam. Folks, it's been amazing spending this time with you. Thank you for joining us at the Agent Lead Source podcast. If you are listening to us, wherever you're listening to us, whether that's Facebook, if you're here on live, then make sure to hit that like button. Also, if you're here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment on the way out. But if you are on the actual podcast, on Apple Podcasts specifically, make sure to give us a 5-star review. That would be fantastic. Only if we earned it. And if we didn't, don't
wait till next time.
Don't review us. We'll bring fire later. Don't review us. But if we earn that 5, please do. It really does help us out. And reach out to us. If you have a question about Joseph's program, please, Joseph Gonzalez, his information is going to be plastered everywhere else. If you have any questions about really anything, feel free to reach out to us. The best places that you can find us is on Facebook and also on YouTube. So let us know if there's any way that we can serve you. Outside of that, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fun.
Thanks, guys.